Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am 𝙎𝘼𝙈𝑐𝑗𝑠, and today we have an incredible guest on the channel for you guys. We have Gary Meyer, and he is an expert with detoxification, iridology, and just an amazing, awesome, super cool guy. He is so inspiring, and he's also been vegan for close to 15 years and recently tried, I believe, a little bit of fish. So you guys are going to want to stick around to the end. It's going to be a good one, and let's get right into it. Hey Gary, how's it going?
Hi, how's it going? All good here.
Yeah.
Such a
Thanks for
pleasure
coming
talking
on.
to you today.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're awesome. So you're a detoxification expert, a iridology expert. I want to get into that in a minute. So you know
cool.
so much about the eyes. I have so many questions for you. And you've been vegan. You were vegan for close to 15 years. So I'd love to know sort of your story, what led you to becoming a vegan, and also you spent many years eating mostly raw, and how that changed your life.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, for me, it all started basically because I never really liked the taste of meat. Also, wasn't really into like cheese or eggs or milk or dairy products in general. So it was kind of like an easy transition. So when I was 17, I decided to become vegetarian. And that really led me to dive deeper into the whole lifestyle about like veganism and all of that. So I read some books about it and made total sense to me, like because of the ethical reasons, but also health wise and environmental reasons. So I gave myself about a year time to transition from a vegetarian to a vegan diet, which made the process very easy for me, like mentally and bodily, to adapt to it. So that went well, and then stayed on a standard vegan diet, like cooked vegan diet, for about 6 years. And then I found out about a raw vegan diet through like a YouTube video, I think.
Wow.
I was like, oh, that sounds great. And I'm always about like self-experimentation. And yeah, so I gave myself a little more time to transition from a vegan diet to a raw vegan diet. But I had like a lot of like nuts and seeds in the beginning, which
Hmm.
after a short amount of time felt like quite heavy to me. So then I found out about a fruit-based lifestyle through the 80-10-10 book of Douglas Graham.
Yeah.
And so had to have some experience with that as well. And since then, I stuck to that because that just made the biggest change for me personally,
Yeah.
like mentally and physically as well.
And you noticed a big difference when you went like lower fat?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
And did you
like
notice
mental clearness and more energy for sure.
a big difference being like cooked vegan versus like raw?
Yes,
Yeah.
100%. Also, immensely with just my daily energy that went up like as soon as I transitioned to a more raw diet. But even like being, I would say like 95% raw vegan or fruit based and in the beginning, and then stabilizing that a little more, and then switching to a 100% fruit based and raw made such a huge difference.
Wow. And what were you eating, would you say, like if you can remember, in a day when you first noticed like the positive changes, when you started like lowering the fat and noticed like the improvements? What were you eating?
I was eating lots of bananas, probably like 20 bananas a day or so, lots of lettuce, spinach, things like that, lots of grapes. Yeah,
Yeah. And would you say like in your, because
huge
you
salad.
raw for a long time, would
Mhm.
you say like if somebody's watching and they're thinking about starting raw now, is there anything you feel like you learned that you would do different, like other than the fats, or like any mistakes you feel like you made or anything like that?
Not so much mistakes. I don't really believe in mistakes because it's all about like balancing over
Hmm.
time. I'm always more about like a slower process and transition to make it more stable.
Hmm.
I think a lot of people are out there who jump into it and then become unstable after a short amount of time. So I think it's good to like go from like a standard diet through the vegetarian, vegan, raw vegan phase, and then towards more like a fruit-based lifestyle. Yeah, but then of course, you're facing these like cravings sometimes and all of that. And then you go back a little bit to eating like some non-optimal foods. But I try to see those also as like a positive contrast experience. So you implement more like the lifestyle, even like the good lifestyle, by knowing exactly like what you want to feel like and what you don't want to feel. So I think that makes a big difference to just see it a little more relaxed. Because for me personally, when I first learned about this lifestyle and dove into it, I was like, oh, this seems like the right thing to do. And I want to do it 100% and perfect.
Yeah.
Then like these cravings came up and I wasn't able to sustain it that well in the beginning and always went back and forth. And I would beat myself up about it and judge myself, but that's not a good way to do it, in my opinion.
I know. I think it's so common though. I think so many people do.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so I'm assuming that because this had so many positive like changes in your life, the discovering the raw foods and the vegan lifestyle and everything, I'm assuming that's what led you to becoming a detoxification expert. You're a personal coach too, and have studied iridology as well. So I'm wondering what led you to that. And I think it's so fascinating. Like with iridology, I have some questions on that. So maybe first, just if you could tell us what led you into that.
So since 2016, going to the Woodstock Fruit Festival in upstate New York. And the first year I went there, there was someone who did iridology readings for people at the festival. And I was just watching him doing it. And he didn't know anything about the people there. But he could tell them so much about their state of health and what issues they might face, and they were just shocked about like the accuracy. And I was like, wow, this is impressive. I have to learn about this. It's so fascinating. So after that festival, I bought some books about it, and then also learned about Dr. Robert Morse at the festival. So I watched a lot of his videos, and he talked about iridology as well, which then led me to taking his classes in 2017 and 2018 about detoxification and iridology. Yeah.
Amazing. And what do you think are like maybe some of the greatest ways to detox? And have you personally done any like cleanses? I'm assuming you have. Like what for you personally, like what has been the greatest like detoxification method?
I think in general, like a fruit-based lifestyle, like low-fat fruit-based is the best way to really cleanse the body, to like become stable and like balanced in your pH, because most people's lifestyle is way too acidic these days. And acidity leads to dehydration and inflammation, irritation in the body, which then, depending on where in the body this acidity is mostly present, leads to certain symptoms, which doctors call like by different names, different diseases, but in my opinion, all has the same origin, which is an overacidic state in the body. So, and when we know that, we can just switch to the more alkaline-based lifestyle, and which is more hydrating and like flushing the body and improving the body's ability to heal itself as well.
And what's the best way for us to tell where our pH is?
Well, you can take a look at your eyes, which then leads us to iridology, because in your irises, you can see what state your lymphatic system is in, which is the great sewer system of the body. So if there are a lot of lymphatic blockages present in the body, that means that your body is in a more dehydrated and acidic state. We can tell from that. A lot of people use like pH strips for the urine or saliva, but that is not telling you like the pH of the entire body. Also, like when you use it with your urine, depends like what you ate beforehand. If you had a lot of fruit, then it's most likely like more alkaline.
Okay, interesting. And you can like if you're just up close with somebody talking to them, can you tell a lot just by looking into their eyes without it like under a microscope or something?
You can definitely tell some things, like skin blockages is a very common thing because it's the outer rim of the iris, and a lot of people have like a dark ring
Hmm.
uh, present there, and that means that the skin holds more toxicity and is not able to breathe properly, and probably has some lymph blockage as well.
Wow. And what do you think if like someone's gonna look in the mirror, what do you think are signs that like things are really healthy on the inside? What do you look for in the eyes?
So basically, we differentiate between two eye colors, which are blue and brown,
Hmm.
and all the other colors are more states of different lymphatic blockages, like green eyes, for example. Greenish yellowish eyes represent a subacute level of lymphatic blockage. So
Wow.
the original color is more blue, which you can see like if you take a picture and you zoom in on the computer screen, you can see the underlying original color and just the yellowish greenish coloration sitting on top of it, which you then also can correlate with like a coating on your tongue. Because if the lymphatic system is more in a subacute level, your coating on the tongue, especially in the morning, will probably also show like a yellowish coloration.
Wow, it's so interesting, all of this. I love it. And it's interesting because before I discovered the raw foods lifestyle 6 years ago, my eyes were green. Like they were very green. When I was little, they were blue, but then they went green over the years. Like when I was really young, they were blue, like born blue when I was a toddler, and then they went green. And then a couple years, I don't know exactly when, after being on like 100% living foods, they went blue. And I was like, this is crazy. So do you think that's because like things were cleaning up inside more?
Yes, exactly.
So
It's
cool.
really
So yeah. If somebody wants to do a reading with you, like what do they do? Can they just use their phone and take a picture? Or is there like a way they recommend they can email you, reach out to you? And I'll link everything down below because I think it's fascinating.
yeah, you can just book a reading on my website, and then most of my clients send me their eye pictures, and they're taken with an iPhone or any kind of smartphone, and I'll send them like tutorial video on how to do that and some advice.
Yeah, okay, that's amazing. And do you think like do you believe in juice cleansing and like mono fruit cleansing? And what are your thoughts on like I think you use a lot of herbs as well, right? For detoxing the body?
Yes, but the mono diets are amazing. Juice cleansing is amazing. I did 70 days on grapes a few years ago, which was like one of the most profound cleansing experiences for myself, where I got rid of a lot of like mucoid plaque and parasites and all kinds of crazy stuff. And with every day, I felt better and better. So the first 30 day I also did just grape juice. And then for
Wow.
the last 40 days, I drank juice and ate grapes.
I think I did 28 days on grapes last year, I think it was. And that I've done a
Awesome.
juice cleanse, a watermelon island, and the grape cleanse was the most difficult to me. And I truly felt like it was the most cleansing, like especially through my sinuses and like my lungs. It's so incredible what the
Mhm.
grapes can do. Did you eat all organic? Do you think it's important to do all organic? And how do you recommend somebody stay successful on that? Like, did you eat a variety of grapes? Did you eat a lot of grapes or did you limit how much you ate?
No, I didn't limit myself. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do all organic because I was living in Germany back then, and the organic grapes were very limited and super expensive. So I was like, okay, I want to do this, but I have to like stick to whatever is available. But grapes are just so powerful. Even if you do non-organic grapes, it's still like very, very cleansing. I was just making sure that I clean them very well, and I use baking soda and apple cider vinegar for that purpose. And then yeah, I ate a variety of grapes, and a lot. I ate
Yeah. And you feel
like
like
6 pounds a day.
Yeah, I ate a lot too. I think that's the key to staying successful on the cleanses, like feasting. And you felt like you had like a lot of positive benefits and it was a really good experience.
Oh, absolutely. It felt, like I said, it felt better and better every day, had more and more energy. My sinuses cleared up. I was able to like breathe. It felt like I
Yeah,
was able to breathe for the first time.
that's how I felt too. I read The Grape Cure and it inspired me. The grapes
Yeah.
are truly so healing.
Mhm.
And okay, I'm wondering too with herbs, because you know so much about this stuff. Are there any herbs that come to mind that you think are just like so powerful for detoxing the body and like the best way for people to prepare herbs? I don't typically like I'm not involved with herbs too much. I don't know much about it. So like is tea the best or
Tea is definitely a good way to use them, and it's very easy, of course. I would say nettle tea is incredible because it opens up the kidneys. That's always something I go to. Ashwagandha is good.
Mhm.
Licorice root for the adrenals is great. Lemon balm for the nervous system and brain function is awesome.
And what do you think for stress? Like I think stress is a big thing in people's lives. Like are there herbs for stress and can you see stress in people's eyes when you do iridology?
Yes, you can very
Wow.
easily. You see like circles in their iris, and those are called stress or tension rings, which means that the body holds more stress. Can also imply that a person is not expressing their emotions in a proper way,
Wow.
but that mostly goes hand in hand with a poor adrenal function, because your adrenals are responsible for your autonomic nervous system by producing neurotransmitters to fire it up. And if your adrenals are low, then that's not really happening, which is also caused by taking a lot of stimulants like coffee, energy drinks, even a
Mm-hmm.
lot of cacao, things like that are lowering the adrenal function, because if you're taking these stimulants externally, your adrenals are like, oh, we don't really have to work here.
Mm-hmm.
You're already provided. So over time, they shut down more and more. And then if you want to get rid of the stimulants, then you feel very tired in the beginning.
Yeah. And do you think there's any herbs that are dangerous that like people have to be careful about or careful if they have too much of?
Well, it's always a matter of the dose. So I wouldn't overdo any herbs and just see them really like a supplement. But
Yeah. Okay. And if somebody's out there and they're like, oh, they can't afford consultations with somebody, and or maybe it seems too extreme for them to go only raw foods or only fruit and herbs or even vegan, but they want to like detoxify a bit. Do you think that's possible? Or there are certain habits they can adopt if they don't want to be like as extreme as people like us have been?
yeah, definitely. I mean, the more you go towards the alkaline side in chemistry, meaning foods like fruits, veggies, greens, all of those things, like the more you implement them, the more your body will be able to detox. So even if it's just, let's say, like a breakfast, like a fruit breakfast or so, which for most people is the easiest to implement. That's how I started as well. Like I would usually eat like a cereal or so for breakfast. But when I wanted to transition to a more raw food diet, I would eat fruit first, because fruit
Mm-hmm.
is the easiest to digest. You always want to eat fruit first before you go to heavier foods, because otherwise it will mess up your digestion. So I ate some fruit first, and then waited a little bit, and then had a little bit of cereal, but I would eat less cereal, and then try to increase the amount of fruit over time. So after like a month or so, I wasn't hungry anymore after eating my fruit. So
Yeah. And then
I
I just feel like you crave it more. The more you eat it, like you said, you add in a little bit here and there, and then you're craving more, and then you want more of that food.
exactly. And,
Yeah.
and then I went on to the next meal, to like lunch, and did the same thing basically. And that was like an
Amazing.
easy to implement method for me personally.
Yeah, amazing. And I know you say, like, I read you said somewhere to heal holistically, we have to address the mind, emotions, and the body, and that you say like they all go together. So I would love you to expand on that a little bit because I think that's just really well said, how you say they're all connected.
Mhm. yeah, and like from my experience and in my opinion, everything starts with a belief. And then that happens through like looking into this world basically for a period of time. Then you form these beliefs, you adopt those, and then from those beliefs, certain thought patterns are formed. Then that triggers certain emotions, and that then will affect your physical body as well. Because certain emotions, if you have like bad feelings, negative thoughts first, of course, then negative feelings, those will trigger stress hormones in your body to be released. And over time, they're harmful for your body. So they will develop some kind of symptoms. But the same thing can happen in a positive way, of course, and to be able to heal your body. So if you adopt more positive beliefs and thus think in a better and more positive way, you feel good, have all these good emotions, and then your body will release serotonin and all of these like good hormones, and those are very healing to the body.
And is
So
there anything
how
that
it's
you do to like make yourself believe and like feel more positive?
sure, you can do different things. In my opinion, meditation is always good to like recalibrate yourself. And then also just imagining like experiences in your past that made you really happy, or imagining things you want to experience in the future can make up everything, right? Anything you want. Your mind is always free, and you have the power to choose what you think about and imagine. So by constantly imagining really, really elevating and empowering things, your entire life will change very drastically.
Amazing. Beautiful. And I just want to ask you a little bit more about detox too. Before we get into, I want to talk to you about the fish thing too. But
Sure.
with detox, how can somebody tell? Because people ask me this all the time. Like, if some people are like detoxing, they're getting really clean, really healthy, doing a method they think works, but they can't tell if it's like detox or like something's wrong. How do you differentiate between that when they're like on a cleanse or something like that? And they're like, oh, like my skin's breaking out. I feel terrible. Is this detox or is this like something's wrong? Like you're missing something. You know what I mean?
Sure. In my opinion, like most of the time, at least, unless there's like a certain issue, I wouldn't even know what that would be. But like if you're on a good fruit-based lifestyle and you have these symptoms like when your skin's breaking out and all of that, that is most of the time it's just for a period of time and then it disappears, from my experience at least. So that is a good indication for a detox symptom, for a healing symptom, because your body will always try to get rid of all the unwanted things that are trapped in the body, all the unwanted chemistry. It's mucus that is created from the previous lifestyle, from like very acidic forming foods, which then create a mucus response to encapsulate this chemistry to protect the body from it. Very important. But if you have a very acidic lifestyle that creates so much mucus that it's like getting trapped in the body, or if it's a virus or like heavy metals that are trapped in the body, or certain chemistry from medication, all those things will be released. And a lot of that happens through the skin, for example, if the kidneys aren't working properly, because the skin is like the third kidney for us. So it's the largest eliminative organ we have. And it's a very easy way for the body to eliminate. So in my opinion, if you're on a fruit-based lifestyle and you experience those healing symptoms, that is like detoxification. Unless you're like doing maybe like a mono diet for months and you're kind of like depleting yourself. Definitely don't want to do that. That's why my approach is more like I want to jump into like a more like a detox phase, more like fruit-based for a few weeks, and then go on a more building protocol for a few weeks, and then alternate those.
Mm-hmm. And it
Make
can
sure the
take
body,
time to
yeah,
detox, right? It can
oh,
take like sometimes up to a couple years, right? Or like even
yes,
longer. I don't know. Yeah.
it's definitely depending on where you're at. That's a good indication also, like if you look at the eyes, you can see like where your genetic weaknesses are and how severe they are, and what your lymph system looks like and how severe the blockages are. So that gives you an indication like how long it will take you to detox, which is very hard to tell even then,
Mm-hmm.
because it's dependent on so many different things, like how much you go into the diet. Are you resting properly? Are you moving your body? All those things
Wow.
make a huge difference. So it's very, very hard to tell someone like how long it will take to heal those things.
And do you look at the whites of the eyes too when you're like analyzing someone's eyes and you can tell by how bright the whites are if they need detoxing?
Yes, definitely. I'm currently learning more about the sclera. For now, I'm more based or focused on the iris itself, but I'm starting to learn more about the white part as well and what that means. And
Yeah. And do you think like the eyes are the best way to tell if we need to detox? Like you look at the eyes or the tongue the most, or are there like other red flags out there too, you think, where it's like this person needs to detox?
oh, sure, like if you look at their skin, their fingernails,
Mm-hmm.
like that. Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm interested to hear, as you could tell from my excitement at the beginning, wanting to know after 15 years vegan, you had a piece of fish. And I don't judge. I'm not one of these vegans that judge at all about that. I think everybody's got to do what works for them.
Sure.
And you hear all these people say, if they eat a piece of fish, oh my gosh, it like rebooted them or like totally like. So
Yeah.
you went 15 years before having any fish, right? Or meat.
Yeah.
Wow. So you had some a little bit recently. What did you have and how did you feel? Did you notice a difference right away? Or like what impact did it have on your like body and mind?
So it was very interesting. Like I said earlier, I'm always about like self-experimentation and see how my body and mind and emotions react to certain things, especially because I work with people and of course, I want to give them the best advice from my experience as well. So it was in March this year where out of a sudden, like I had this thought like, oh, how would my body react now if I had a piece of fish, which is a very odd thought for me to have because I never had fish in my entire life beforehand.
Wow.
So I was just curious, like, why is this coming up now? And then it kept like showing up over the course of like 2 or 3 weeks. And then I was actually going to Panama on vacation. I was like, if I want to try it, then this is like a good place to do so because they have really good quality fish there. And I decided to do it and to just try it, give it a try. And I had a piece of salmon there. So I looked into like what fish would be the best to have, like that doesn't accumulate a lot of mercury and is like high in omega-3s and all of that. So in my opinion, salmon was like the best thing to go about. And then I tried it and I was like tuning into my body and see how it reacts. And it felt fine, like no digestive issues or anything like that.
Wow.
Also, my mind wasn't going crazy. I thought in the beginning, like, oh, after being vegan for so long, like, oh my God, I would probably freak out or something.
Yeah.
It actually didn't feel weird. So I was a little surprised by that. I'm like, okay, so let's see how this goes. And next day, also no like issues with like movement and all of that. And then I kept trying it a few more times and felt totally fine. I only had it by itself. I wouldn't
Mhm.
like combine it with anything just for digestive purposes. But yeah, it felt good. So I'm still like experimenting with it. I only have it probably like every 2 weeks,
Yeah.
a little piece, and otherwise just fruit. So
Yeah.
so far that feels pretty good, feels very like balanced to me. I noticed after a short while, like I always had like cold hands and feet, and that like went away a little.
Wow.
Yeah. Noticed like I had like some inflammation going on sometimes in my gums, that went away.
Wow.
Yeah.
And were you supplementing at all in the 15 years before having it or no?
Supplementing
Like B12, iodine, D, any of that type of stuff?
yeah, I did in the beginning.
Mhm.
Because I was reading like about B12, especially like, oh, on a vegan diet, you don't really get that. And then I did blood work and it showed like low B12 levels. Then took different supplements over the course of a few months and then did another blood work test and showed still like low B12. I was like, oh, okay. So what's the point of all these supplements then? And then I learned from Dr. Morse that the B12 level has to do with your adrenal function as well, and that your adrenals are utilizing B12. So if your adrenals are low and you take supplements and all that, your body is still not utilizing it, it's not really working.
Hmm.
So then I got more into like detoxing and like rebuilding the body. And then after a few years, I did another blood work without taking any supplements, and my B12 was normal.
Wow. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard that before. That's fascinating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
Wow.
I'm not taking any of those supplements anymore.
Mm-hmm. And you check your blood work like sometimes now and then or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So interesting. You're such an interesting guy filled with so many interesting facts and inspiration and wisdom. It's been so awesome having you on, talking to you.
Oh.
And let everybody know where they can find you before we end off. That'd be awesome. And I'll link it all down below where they
Mm-hmm.
can find you for the readings or social media. And if you have anything that comes to mind to end off with, any inspiration for somebody who might think they need a detox, they're not feeling so good, or just anything at all, then please absolutely say it now. That'd be great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say it would be good for everyone just to try like a week or so, or just a few days of like a more fruit-based lifestyle, because a lot of people tell me like, oh, I feel kind of good, but most people don't really know like how they could feel, like how good they can actually feel. So it's always, in my opinion, good to have like a contrast experience, just to see how it feels. And like just a week, you won't die.
Yeah.
Like it's not that hard. You can eat as much as you want. And yeah, then go from there, I would say. Other than that, yeah, you can find me on Instagram. It's a Fruitful Solution. Same on YouTube. And my website is fruitfulsolution.com, where you can book my iridology readings or just a consultation as well about like detoxification. I also do coaching on more like mental and emotional level.
Amazing. I'm going to book a consultation with you for the eyes. I'm so excited.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Well, thanks again so much. And to the viewers, I hope you guys enjoyed this. If it added some value to your day, give it a big thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe if you don't already, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.